Hey guys, it's Shanna from the 5 and Family Homestead. First of all, I want to thank you for clicking on this video and watching it. If you haven't already done so with our channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and ring that notification bell. I want to start off by telling you that we have several videos on our channel in regards to above ground swimming pools. So if you have any other questions or I guess questions really, you can go back through and find our videos. We have a review on our Coleman above ground pool. We have how to backwash an Intex sand filter pump. We have a vacuum review. Anyways, we have tons of videos on there, and if you guys want to see something else, let us know and we'll be happy to do so. The main reason for this video is I wanted to answer the top 5 questions that I get asked the most when it comes to an above ground pool. And as a bonus, because you guys clicked on this video, I'm actually going to give you 2 bonus, so 7 total. Just because, thank you. Anyways, I get, from my other videos, I get a lot of messages and a lot of comments just asking questions, and there's a common theme with most of the questions, and I want to go ahead and answer them. I also want to start off by saying, just like I do in all my other videos, I am not an expert by any means at all whatsoever. I have zero pool knowledge, background, whatever. I'm not a professional. This has all been trial and error. This is our 5th year of having an above ground pool. My pools have turned green. We've had to drain the pools before. I have had to go through different equipment, different chemicals. It's taken trial and error, and I'm sharing with you guys what works for me. It may not work for you. I've only had a couple comments come to me and say, you really don't have any idea what you're doing. You need to do it this way, X, Y, and Z, and that's fine, and I don't mind that, because actually some of them were great suggestions. But I don't want you guys thinking that I'm a professional in any way. I'm just giving you ideas of what I do. So let's get started. The number 1 question I have is about my sand filter and pump. Any of these cartridge filters, pumps that come with the above ground pools are a waste of money. In my opinion, they are. If you have a smaller pool, the small like blow up ones, it may work fine. But when you get into the bigger pools, mine is a 52 by 22. Those cartridge filters are not going to be, they're not going to be, what is the word? Effective. I'm sorry. Effective at filtering and pumping your pool like it should be. So my number 1 suggestion is to upgrade to a sand and filter pump. Now, I know those are expensive. They are expensive. But if you can, bite the bullet now and buy one, because they do last a long time. For my pool, and we have the Coleman Power Steel Vista Series 2. We have a 22 by 52 foot pool. What I have is an Intex sand filter and pump. It's a 3000 GPH. Intex, the one good thing about Intex and Coleman is their parts are interchangeable. You don't have to do any modifications or anything. They just all fit in together. So I had an Intex sand filter and pump that I bought 5 years ago, and the only reason I lost it this winter is during the Texas freeze. It froze my pump and busted it. Otherwise, I think it would have been going just fine. Anyways, that's what I use. It is the most effective. The cartridge filters, you're just going to be really spinning your wheels, cleaning the cartridges, spending a ton of money on the cartridges. Your pool is not going to be effectively filtered, especially during the summer. So that is my suggestion. Some places that you can look on Amazon. I know they're really expensive right now just because it is the summer. I found mine on Facebook Marketplace. It took me a week or 2 of just searching. I actually found a family that they bought it. They didn't want an above ground pool anymore, and they sold it to me for $175. It was brand new, versus $500, $600 for a sand filter. Depending on your size of the pump will depend on what gallons per hour size pump that you need. Again, mine's a 3000 GPH, and I have the 22 by 52 foot pool. So that's it on the pumps. The next thing is, I get questions a lot, it's leveling the pool. This is crucial that you get your ground as level as possible, and I will tell you why. We had 3 other Intex pools that we put up in this exact same spot over the years, and so the ground was already kind of level. But when we got this big pool, we decided we were going to keep it up. In the past, we've taken them down, we've stored them, and we've put them back up. This time we decided we were not going to do that. We were going to keep it up. And then in that case, the ground needed to be level. It took us almost 2 weeks to get the ground level with a tractor. We used a tractor. We also used our hands and rakes and shovels, and my husband had a level out, and we leveled the ground, and then we brought sand in. We brought sand in to go on top of the dirt, and we by hand went and picked all the rocks out that were left behind that we didn't get, so it would not pierce the liner. It is not completely level, but it's level enough. And I will tell you, my mom, she has a I think they have a summer wave. I think that's what they have. Anyways, they had someone come and they leveled the ground the best they could. My parents have a lot of rock, so they got down to where by hand the best that they could do with what they had, and leveled it out. Now, as we had a lot of rain this spring, my parents' pool has settled, and now the back legs are literally off of the ground and the front is sagging, or like leaning forward. They're going to have to drain it and re-level it again. So leveling it is important. I had a question by somebody if you would put, they heard that crushed granite on the bottom of the liner would be good, and I do not recommend that. Those little bitty pebbles like that, even I don't care how fine it's crushed up, it's going to over time just sit there and rub on your liner, and it can cause a hole. So number 2, level the best that you can. If you can't afford, we certainly weren't going to have somebody come out and level it. We did what we could. Level it until you think it's level, and then level it some more. That's my suggestion. The next thing we get asked a lot about is if we put pavers under the legs of the pool. We did not. In hindsight, I wish that we did. And I'll tell you why. Because the legs do settle in the ground. It's just the weight of the pool, the shifting of the ground, the moisture in the ground, it will sink the legs. Now, ours has not sunk enough to affect the integrity of the pool, but in hindsight, I do wish that we had put pavers under each one of the legs. So that is one of my suggestions. Yes, do put pavers under the legs. The next thing is about our rock that we put on here. The rock is not underneath the pool. We actually put, there's a black liner, landscape liner between the pool and this paver right here, and we put black liner, and we went kind of up, like on the, put a little bit of a lip around the pool, and we put the rocks on there. The rocks are not touching the pool at all. I know that has been some concern of some people that it would pierce the side of the pool, but we haven't had any issues with that. I do suggest though that you put some kind of liner or border on the pool for many reasons, but the main reason is I think that's why the legs have not sank that far in the ground, because we do have the rocks to kind of absorb some of the moisture and take in some of the moisture. So if you're able to do a border, we went to our local rock facility in town, and we paid so we did this whole border, and I don't remember the stone, guys, I'm sorry. The rock and the border, for a truckload of it, we spent less than $250. So of course we had to shovel it by hand, but we're happy in the end. So again, pavers under the legs, yes, I would recommend it. We didn't do it. In hindsight, I would. And also putting a border around the pool. The next thing is adding the chlorine, pH balance, the algae side, when to do all of that. The number one thing I will tell y'all is your chlorine bobber needs to stay full and in the pool at all times, especially during the summer. I am right now having to refill my bobber every 2 days because it's so hot. So I use the 1-inch tablets. Those are really hard to find. 3-inch works as well. That can be in at all times. When you're adding chemicals, whatever, that chlorine can stay in there, the bobber. Now, adding your chlorine and your pH, those two can go together at the same time. Your algae side, you cannot add an algae side and clarifier until your chlorine and your pH is balanced. So it may take you balancing your chlorine and your pH for a couple days, and then you have to go behind a couple days later and do your algae side and your clarifier. So that's a question I get asked a lot, is can you add them together? So yes, your chlorine and your pH can be added together, and your algae side and your clarifier need to be added separately once your chlorine and your pH gets balanced. My vacuum, a lot of people ask me about my vacuum. I have an Intex automatic vacuum that I plug into the output of my pool. The one that I have the older version. I wish I could find this version again, because the hose has joints that move when the vacuum goes around the pool. It moves with it. The newer version has one big hose and it just gets in a knotted mess. And yes, I've done it correctly. I had somebody tell me that I didn't put it in correctly. I did put it in correctly. I've had several people tell me they have the same problem. It's just not a good design. So if I recommend anybody finding the Intex automatic vacuum that has the hose that has the joints in it, that is your best bet for all of that. I have that one. It's got holes in it. I'm hoping I can get another summer out of it before I have to figure something else out. The next thing that I also use, I got off Amazon. It's called a Black Magic manual vacuum, and you hook the water hose into it and you manually vacuum your pool. I use that to get around the edges because my big vacuum will kick a lot of the dirt out to the edges, and so I just go back with my little handheld vacuum and I go around the pool. It's not ideal because it's like this big. It's not that wide, and it takes me forever to vacuum that pool, but it's the best one that I have found, and it's held up really well. So again, vacuums, I use the Intex the Intex automatic vacuum. I found it on Amazon. I have the hoses with the joints, and then I use a Black Magic vacuum that I found on Amazon. I don't even know if they carry those anymore, but I did a review on both of those on our channel, so if you want to try to find those, I can kind of give you an idea of what they are. How often do I vacuum? Right now I try to vacuum 2 to 3 times a week because it keeps, one, the dirt off the floor, and it also keeps algae from growing. I also sweep in that time as well. So yeah, that's one of the questions I get, is how often you vacuum. Oh, let me back up to the chemicals. How often do you use the chemicals? Right now during the summer, you need to be checking your water every day or every other day. You need to be checking it because the sun will deplete the chemicals really, really fast. And you've got to keep everything balanced, otherwise you're going to start seeing your water turn cloudy. It may start turning green. You're going to have to make sure, and your pump needs to be running at a minimum 8. Sometimes I run mine for 10 hours a day. And you need to make sure you're also backwashing every couple days as well, so you're just filtering out any debris that your pool or the filter has caught. The added bonus question is the windows. Everyone's asking, do the windows on the Coleman pool leak? Ours have not, and I am finding that through research and other people's comments. I'm not sure if that's grammatically correct, but anyways, through other comments, that the first generation of the Coleman Vista Series pools with the windows were the ones that leaked. And it's my understanding those were a 1-inch window. These newer versions have the 2-inch windows. Ours does not leak. I think another thing that happened we had a subscriber suggest this, and I do think there's something to it. I think people that break down the pool and fold it and store it and then take it back out and put it back up, I think it breaks down the seal in the window, and I think that has a lot to do with it as well. When we had our freeze, well, I don't have a window right here, but our water in the pool froze below the windows all the way, solid. I mean, like a solid sheet of ice. So I'm like 6, 7, 8 inches of water, and nothing. The windows didn't crack or anything. So for me, that's a big plus, because now I feel like we've kind of debunked the myth that those windows leak. Now, I'm not saying that they don't leak. I will tell you that right now. Some people may say, Shanna, you're nuts, they do leak, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, for our pool, if it could survive, those windows could survive a freeze that hard. I don't think there's any issues there. I said I had 2, but I really only have 1 because the other one I already asked the chemicals and stuff like that. Adding chemicals, I think I talked about that. I'm adding chemicals probably every other day. Again, just testing your water. And the testing kits, you can just get those at Walmart. You can get them on Amazon. It just has your chlorine and your pH tester. A lot of people I also know take their water to a local pool company. They have it tested there. That's fine. But I can tell you this, if you message me and say, hey, X, Y, and Z company told me I needed to add blah, 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 I'm not going to be able to help you. Because all I do is literally keep my pH, my chlorine balance, I add algaecide, I vacuum, I backwash, and that's the extent of my pool. So outside of that, I can't help you.
So if your pH is low, what do you add if your pH is high?
So the chlorine, you need to make sure, 9 times out of 10, if you can just shock your pool, if your chlorine is low, even with the bobber in, if you shock it, usually will bring it up to where it needs to be. It may take a shock or 2, but for the most part, it'll come up. A pH, if your pH is low, you're going to add a pH up. If your pH is high, you're going to add a pH down. I will tell you, anytime after you have a heavy rain, your pH is probably going to be high. Sometimes I don't mess with the pH after a heavy rain because my filter will filter it out and it'll kind of balance itself back out. But if you have several days of it being high, you may have to lower it. Oh, I guess another thing would be I have questions about my pool's cloudy. It can be a couple things. I would start off first with me. If my pool is starting to turn cloudy, a lot of times it needs chlorine and I'll shock it. I may shock it 1 or 2 times and it'll bring it back. If it's still not clear, and my chlorine and my pH are balanced, then I will go ahead and I'll do an algaecide and a clarifier, and majority of the time that clears it up for me. It does not take much in the summer heat for your pool to turn cloudy and green. You have got to stay on top of the chemicals. That is the most important thing in all of this. And you have to have a good filter. A good filter, staying on top of your chemicals, a good vacuum, that will keep your pool clear. So anyways, guys, I hope this answers some of your questions. Certainly, if you have more, please message me. I'll help you the best that I can. I've had a couple subscribers I've been talking to back and forth, helping them trying to get their pools in order. I don't mind it. In fact, it kind of makes me feel important because I don't know much else. So.
How should they message you?
You can message us through our Facebook page, or you can message us through Instagram. Either one of those. If for some reason you message me on Facebook and I don't get back to you, because we're pretty good at responding, go to Instagram. Facebook doesn't always show us that we have messages, so it may sit there for a little bit before I get it. But guys, I want to.
I got a husband tip.
Oh gosh.
If you borrow your husband's tools from his shop to work on your pump, don't leave them in the ground to rust.
That's not. That has been up here, so that would be your children that did that. So father tip, don't let your children take off, because this is what I opened my pump with. I know better than that.
Somebody left them on the ground.
It would be your sons.
Blame it on them.
I will, because I know I didn't do that. As a matter of fact, I was picking up all the tools that I used earlier. I put them up for you. So, there. Alright guys, that's it. That's all I got for you. Go ahead and, again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit that thumbs up, notification bell. Again, we have several videos on our channel about above ground pool. Our pool specifically, the Coleman Vista Series 2 pool. If you have any more questions, let us know. I think that's about it. It's really hot, and I'm probably going to get in the pool here in a little bit. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you again. Bye!